That being said, you're always going to drop at least one quiz. There will be opportunities to drop at least 2 more quizzes as the semester is going on. So what does the drop quiz mean? Let's say you did not do very well in this last quiz. And let's say you just got like maybe a 0 out of 10. No one got a 0 out of 10. But let's say you got a 0 out of 10 and you just blew this one off. At the end of the semester, what will happen is I will give you a sheet and you'll list, okay, I want to drop this one, drop this one. They'll excuse you from a grade on that. It means that you won't get that grade. Does it hurt your grade by getting excused? No, and it does nothing but help, okay? If you miss 3 quizzes for some reason, you can drop those 3, and it's like you never actually took them. That being said, are quizzes as important as tests in this class? It's not. It's a test-based class. So just realize the quizzes are important, but it's the tests that matter. The test will determine A's, B's, and C's in this class. It just is the way it is, okay? So if you didn't do as well this first time, and the class average was an 8.3, okay? So you kind of know where you stand in front of everybody else. But the class average was an 8.3, which is actually pretty high for the first quiz, okay? But kind of gives you some idea. Is there questions on any of that? And by the way, I sound like a 13-year-old going through puberty right now. Okay, and I apologize, but I'm not feeling the best. But is there any questions on what I just said? Okay, we got current events. First thing you're in trouble. Oh, and that's it. By the way, current events quizzes, if you miss a current events quiz, you can always make those up.
Oh.
Okay, you can always make up a current events quiz. And that goes towards your enrollment class. Okay. Excuse me. In trouble, this guy right here. Who is he?
Looks like a John.
Looks like a John. Try Paul. Paul?
Manafort.
Paul Manafort. Do I need to spell Manafort?
Yeah, you do.
Probably.
Wait, what's the date today?
Oh,
it's 14.
It's
What
freaking
is
Valentine's
Paul
Day.
Manafort so well known for being? Yeah, he's in trouble. Good job. What is he well known for? What was his job that's kind of gotten a little bit of trouble? He was a campaign manager for President Trump, folks. And right now, if you do not know, he is sitting in prison. And what's going on here, folks, is there were beliefs that he was probably talking to the Russians while this was going on. Now, that is not what got him in prison. What got him in prison is that the Mueller Special Investigation went to Paul Manafort and said, hey, we have some dirt on you. Would you be willing to talk to us? Guess what a judge determined yesterday? He lied to the special counsel. He was lying to him, and so they cut Paul Manafort a deal. They said no longer does Paul Manafort get this deal, but under oath and in front of a special counsel, folks, what was going on is Paul Manafort was lying. What was he lying about? He was lying about the fact that when he would go and talk to special counsel, as soon as he got done with that, guess who's he talking to immediately afterwards? The Russians. He was telling the Russians, I just told this to Mueller, and here's what I said, and allowing the Russians to kind of deal with this. Is he going to be in prison for a while?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He didn't make a little boo-boo, he made a big one. And so this will become a big issue. Okay. Second thing, guilty. This man right here was found guilty of 10 counts of trafficking. Who is this person?
El Chapo.
I'll let you guys put down. Joaquin Guzman is his name, but you guys can write down El Chapo.
Oh.
He's better known as El Chapo. Realize, folks, his name is really Joaquin Guzman, but he's found guilty yesterday, or 2 days ago. You gotta be careful.
Hasn't he broken on jail like 3 times?
Yeah.
So he's gonna do it again. That's sick.
Yep.
He can break out of jail.
Yep.
Like, that's
Stacy, no, you have something to pick up once school's over. In the office. This way. But what's going on here, folks, is he was found guilty on 10 counts of trafficking yesterday. And what's going to happen is, if you do not know, he was the head of the Mexican drug cartel known as Sequalo. which most people in the FBI believe is, and you don't have to know this number, is responsible for 60% of the drugs into the United States. He was the drug lord. And one of the hardest things that they've had with El Chapo is keeping him in prison. He's escaped 3 different times. But the big news is that the judge said when he found him guilty and said, by the way, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison, was they didn't send him to any prison. Where did they send him to? Alcatraz of the Rockies. If you haven't seen this before, folks, this is where the worst of the worst goes. This is the unbreakable or unget-outable prison in the entire world. This is the highest level security. It's in Colorado. Literally, the prison cells for people like El Chapo are into the mountain. The judge literally said, you will never see sunlight again. You will never see sunlight. We will go out there, you'll get out of isolation for 1 hour every single day, but for the rest of your life, you will never see what the sun looks like again. The worst of the worst are the Unabomber's there. The guy who did the Boston Marathon bombing is there. The guy who did the Oklahoma City bombing is there. Some of the people who are believed to be responsible for the World Trade Towers, this is where they are at. This is for the worst of the worst. And it is ultra secure, but El Chapo, I have a feeling he may not get out of this one. So we shall see. Okay. By the way, for $10, you can take a tour. It's really cool. $10.
Wait, have you?
I have.
Really?
There's actually a teacher and I by the name of Mr. Werman. We always go on a baseball trip, and we went down, and it's just outside of Colorado Springs, where the Air Force is. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it was really cool. Got my picture taken in his prison cell. It was awesome.
In trouble, guilty, and accused.
Third thing here, accused. The accused, folks, is this woman right here, Monica Witt. Anyone hear what she was accused of yesterday by the U.S. government? Spying. She was spying.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And realize, folks, what's going on is she was basically an intelligence officer in our military. Highest level of security, highest level of clearance. And what's going on is it was determined yesterday by courts that she was taking the information that she had, and who was she selling it to? Not Russia, Iran in this case. And what's going on, folks, is she was actually giving information of like, here's where this general will be at this hour.
Oh, dang.
Here's where these people will be at this hour. What is she probably best known for? There's actually Navy SEALs thing, you may remember this new, where 3 Navy SEALs were killed a year ago. It's believed that she gave the information and allowed those Navy SEALs to be killed, because she said, at this point in time, this is when this is going to happen, where it's going to happen, and here's how they're actually going to do it. She is not in custody. She's believed to be in Iran, but she is an American. And what happened was she was selling basically secrets to Iran. And that's what it comes down to. But Monica Witt. Okay. Fourth thing here, no contact. NASA's announced we no longer have contact with this thing. What is it? Opportunity. I realize this is the rover, folks, on Mars. And about 4 days ago, we lost contact. We have tried several times to get contact with it again. It just hasn't worked. Did we get our money out of it? We did. 15 years. 15 years of transmitting stuff back and forth from Mars. So it was probably well worth the $435 billion it cost. What's going on is 15 years. We got stuff from it, but no longer will we be able to use it. It's just junk on Mars now. Need a job. One of the things that we found out, folks, that's very interesting about our economy is there are more jobs available in the United States than ever before right now. The number that they just released, and they're saying this is the history of the United States, there currently are 7.3 million jobs available in the United States. 7.3 million jobs available, which probably explains why wages are so what? So high. Realize, folks, I saw a report 2 days ago, KFC in Seattle paying people $32 an hour.
You're kidding.
$32 an hour. Because they flat out just can't get people to work. It's crazy. They are trying to get people to take jobs and they can't. Hell, I mean, heck, think of Wendy's here in town. The Wendy's closed. Why did it close?
Because no one could work.
It wasn't that there wasn't people buying, they couldn't get people to work. If you ask the people who closed Wendy's, it's because they could not get people to work, it's why Wendy's closed. And it's a tough thing. And the last one is Mattel Toys. Mattel Toys has announced that to try to create more diversity. Jeez, that was horrible. To create more diversity, to show more diversity, what toy are they changing? No, Barbie. Starting in March, you'll be able to buy a new Barbie. And realize, I'm going to flat out, once you see it, you're going to figure out which Barbie you're going to want to buy and then sell for about $1,000 very quickly. There are new Barbies. If you have not seen this, folks, they'll have now Barbies, instead of the perfect Barbie body and stuff, they'll now have a, I guess what they refer to as a young Barbie who's pregnant. I don't know where to go there. But they'll have a Barbie in a wheelchair. They'll have a Barbie who has a prosthetic leg. They'll have a Barbie that's taller than normal people. They'll have, this is like the Barbie that is taller than Ken for the first time, and that's why it's there. Then they'll have a Barbie who is supposedly just different size than what your normal Barbie is. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of diversity. Starting March 1st they come out. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Anything else newsworthy that might be of interest?
Different shapes.
Anything else? Okay.
You know, that's part
Say again,
that was
yeah, so
schizophrenic.
you just waffled an hour ago. So Zach was mentioning about the deal that they came up with $1.4 billion for the wall and the 40,000 beds. President Trump did come out and say he's going to sign it. In the last hour, he's now come back and said, you know what, we're now re-examining it. So we do not know if he's going to sign it. Cooper?
How'd that Hawaii vote go with smoking?
The Hawaii vote, it went through.
Wait, what happened?
It went through, so they are going to, I will say that there are some questions and people are protesting the fact that there's no grandfather clause, but, so they may reevaluate that, but it did go through. Yeah, so, no smoking if you're under the age of 100 and buying cigarettes.
Good for that.
So what we're looking at in chapter 2, folks, is we're looking at economic systems and how those economic systems are actually determined. What we talked about the last time we were in class was we talked about command system, where one person or a small group of people are making choices, and then we also talked about the market system, where the choices are being made primarily about the producers and consumers. What we want to talk about today is what makes these good, and then also when we look at a command and market system, folks, where are there some problems that are going on, okay? And so we looked at the spectrum, and we know that the very closest to a market system is what? Very command.
North Korea.
And so we went through all of this. What we didn't get to on Monday, or on Tuesday, is if we're really gonna sit there and say, there's 196 countries in the world, 188 of them have a market system. What makes a market system a market system? And what it is, folks, is the first one is it's private property, okay? When I say private property, what am I talking about here? Am I just talking, and the first thing that probably somebody want to say was, well, it's got to be real estate, it's got to be land. Is this, just so you know, real estate is a small percentage of this. Well, when I'm talking about private property, what type of property am I actually talking about?
Good.
Intellectual property, whoever said it, okay? It's copyrights, it's patents, it's trademarks. Now, we had this discussion last period where someone goes, you know, China, granted you said China's a command system, how can they not be a market system with all the trade, export, and import that they do? Here's your reason why. Does China respect the intellectual property of the United States? Not at all. And for that reason, folks, economists still consider that to be a command system, okay? Second one, just choice. The fact that we have choice, and I don't have to go too far into that. The third one, self-interest. We think of self-interest as being what?
The hand.
The hand, the invisible hand. That there's something that's pushing us to go in a certain direction. And we'll come back to that. Competition. Imagine if we had Burger King, but we didn't have McDonald's. Imagine if we had General Motors, but not Ford. Imagine if we had Coke or not Pepsi. Maybe a dream world for me, but what would happen, what would be the consequence of us not having competition?
Monopoly.
You'd have monopolies, and if you have monopolies, what happens there?
You would have no growth.
Prices go up.
Okay.
We encourage competition, folks. We want Caribou Coffee. We want Starbucks here in Allen. Because what happens is it prevents them from increasing prices. Markets and prices. If we have competition, we have a place where we can actually establish the markets and we can sit there and have, hey, this is what this price is. All right? So these are the first 5, what it comes down to. The next few, they're up there, are technology and capital goods. Okay? A market system is constantly pushing the technology. They're constantly reinventing their capital goods and actually making them better. We see specialization in a market system. And sometimes it's division of labor, like what we see. Imagine if Jeff Bezos, who's the head of Amazon, said, okay, I'm not only going to be the CEO, but I'm also going to be the accountant, the sales marketing person, and I'm also going to be the person who invents the website. He couldn't do all that. Job specialization, folks, makes us better. Part of it also, though, is within countries, since we're macro, is geographic specialization. What we find out is that certain countries, like the United States, which is so diverse, have also geographic specialization, where certain parts of countries just get known for, hey, we produce this. For example, and I'll come back to this. If I say Detroit, Michigan, what product are you thinking?
Cars.
Cars. If I say Omaha, Nebraska, what are you thinking?
Corn.
Why does everybody say corn? I'm sorry, it's not corn. Okay, so you're thinking what? Finance and money, banks. Almost all the major banks in the United States, folks, guess where their headquarters are?
Omaha.
Omaha, Nebraska. You can go down to Omaha, Nebraska, and what happens is you'll be walking by CFOs, CEOs all day. It's crazy. Hartford, Connecticut, what's it known for? Maybe we don't. Fish, shrimp, no. Probably have it there. But all the headquarters of what industry are in Hartford, Connecticut? Anyone? Insurance. Insurance companies. Okay? What about Seattle, Washington? What is Seattle, Washington well known for?
The first Starbucks?
Pacific Trade, but what industry?
Fish.
Railroad.
Not railroads, think of another
Planes.
form of planes.
Oh.
Okay? All U.S. plane corporations, folks, and you can probably throw Microsoft in there, but you think Boeing here, you think Microsoft, but all plane corporations, all the companies that make planes in the United States are all based in Seattle, Washington. Cleveland, Ohio, here's the one that nobody ever gets, and I'm always kind of surprised by this.
LeBron James.
Good football.
Sadness, good football team, no. LeBron James, no. Medicine.
Oh.
If you do not know, folks, the best doctors are in Cleveland, Ohio. World leaders fly into Cleveland, Ohio for the purpose of getting medical treatment. King Hussein out of Jordan went in 2 weeks ago. Realize their hospital is widely regarded as being one of the best, if not the best hospital in the entire world. If you want to go to medicine and you want to sit there and do your medical degree and do your residency and stuff, this is the most desirable place to do your residency. You get into Cleveland residency, you can write your ticket and you'll be making millions of dollars for the rest of your life. This is where heart transplants were invented. This is where most cancer research is being done. This is where AIDS is being done. When the federal government gives money, they don't give it to all hospitals, they give it to Cleveland. Okay? Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hopefully you get this one. Steel, okay?
I was gonna say.
Here's the one that I kind of surprised the last period did not get. Alexander, Minnesota, known for two things.
3 ounce.
Manufacturing, what's the other one? This is, everybody gets manufacturing, here's the one that people don't get. What's the other thing that we have a lot of here now?
Churches.
Well, lakes. It's not tourism. Banks. If you do not know, folks, for the region, Alexandria is a hub headquarters for most of the major banks that are in North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, or Minnesota. It is a regional hub for banking. So if you want to go, why are all these banks building banks? They're not building banks just to serve you. They're building banks because this is a regional hub. Okay. Other reasons, use of money. Okay. Other things that we have is we have use of money. What do I mean by this? I mean by medium of exchange. If you're going to be a market system, you have to have a medium of exchange. If we don't have a medium of exchange, we go back to the barter system. And hopefully you figure out what is the problem with the barter system. Anyone?
It's not finite. Like you could convince somebody to trade something with you and somebody else not.
I agree. Probably the word you're looking for there, Adam, is probably value.
Yeah.
Okay, it's value. If I walk up to, and hey, you know, Zach, I'll give you the stapler for your computer. You gonna do it?
No.
Now, if I'm offering the trade, do I think this has the value to get his computer?
It's part of the deal.
I probably do if I'm willing to make the exchange. Okay. On the other hand, if I walk up to Dylan and go, hey Dylan, I'll give you a quarter for a piece of paper. Would you do it? Give me a piece of paper.
Don't be. Just rip it out, buddy.
There you go. In your mind right now, did someone lose?
Yeah.
Who lost?
You.
Okay. Now here's the thing. And here's what you have to wrap your mind around. What is the value of this piece of paper for me? 25 cents. If I sat there and I traded a quarter for a piece of paper, do I think I made a good exchange?
Yes.
I do. Did he think he made a good exchange?
Probably.
Yes. Why? We both agreed to it. Understand, folks, one of the harder things for people to understand is there's no such thing as a bad exchange. Who knows? Maybe I have a paper collection at home and this is a long lost piece of paper I need. Okay? It really isn't. But what's going on there, folks, is it comes down to value. We have to understand what value has in its impacts here. And the last one is active limited government. We have to have a government to step in sometimes. And we have to be very careful of when we want the government to step in. Okay? We want the government to step in when our economy is broke, when it's not working the way it's supposed to. In economics, we refer to that as a market failure. And I don't have it highlighted, but it should be. And if you don't want to highlight it now, that's great, because we're going to talk about it in chapter 4 exclusively. There are certain times, folks, where our government steps in because the economy is not working. The economy is not working, it is a market failure. And the government steps in and they try to fix it. Now here's the bad thing. Sometimes they step in, they try to fix it, and guess what happens?
It gets worse.
It gets worse. And if in your mind you're thinking, hey, what about this one? It could happen. And we'll talk about this in chapter 4 about these market failures and what happens when the government tries to fix the economy, it doesn't work. But before we do that, what we have to do is we have to start answering some questions. If we're going to have some market system and we're going to sit there and make choices because resources are scarce, there's some basic questions that we have to answer. For example, the first one is this one right here. It's the one I spend the most time on, and there's a reason why, because it's the most important question that we'll have. The question is, what will be produced? So if I'm in a market system, I'm not in a command system, and I ask you, what will be produced? What will be produced? What's that? No. You're getting close. If you didn't hear what he said, things that people want. Say it a different way. So the business in this case is what?
Profiting.
Making a profit. The answer to this question, folks, is whatever makes a profit. Whatever makes a profit. Would anyone in here start making a product and go, you know what, this is the greatest product in the world, but you know what, no one's going to buy it, but I'm still going to make it. Do you think Jeff Bezos is out there doing Amazon because, you know what, he just wants you all to get your packages in 2 days? You know what, you order a package, we want to give to you in 2 days. Here, we just want to make you happy. Bull crap. He's there to make money. There's a reason he's the richest man to ever walk the face of the earth. He's there to make profit. Now the thing is who gets to decide that? It's the consumers. Because we get to decide as consumers through consumer sovereignty. Consumer sovereignty just basically means we have the power. What is our power?
To decide what we want to buy.
It's dollar votes. We'll walk into a store and if we like a product, we buy it. If we don't like a product, we don't buy it. If nobody buys the product, what happens to that company?
They-
Goes bankrupt. On the other hand, have you ever seen a product going, there's no way in hell that thing will ever sell, but people are buying it? I have. Before you say you have one, just so you realize, if you have a Snuggie, don't tell me because your level of, go down here, Stacy, no?
No!
Okay?
Already in trouble.
I'm sorry. The first time you saw a Snuggie, if you weren't sitting there going, what the hell? There's something seriously wrong with you.
Crap.
It is a backwards bathrobe. That's all it is. And someone marketed it really well. And oh, by the way, the person who invented it, guess where they were from?
You.
Minnesota. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't heard this story, because I've heard the guy who invented it tell the story at Concordia up in Moorhead. He's a frat guy. One morning, he had a problem. The night before, he overindulged. You don't know what I mean by overindulged? Talk to the person who's snickering next to you. He had a problem. It's February. It's cold as heck out. TV's on. He doesn't like the channel it's on. What was his problem? It's really cold, and the remote is right there, and he's on the couch. How do I get from here to there to get the remote and not get cold? So what did he do? He grabbed the bathrobe, put it on backwards, walked over, grabbed the remote, changed the channel. While he's doing this, another frat brother comes up and, that's a great idea. I love that idea, dude. Yeah, I think so, dude. Yeah, whatever. Okay? They thought they had a good idea. The funny thing is you hear him talk about it, he goes, we went to 18 financiers saying, this is what we came up with, and like 5 of them, dude, that's just a backwards bathrobe. Get the hell out of here. They eventually got all their frat brothers and some investors to get involved in it, folks. They've now sold 1 billion Snuggies. Believe it or not, there are 1 billion Snuggies on the face of the earth that people were willing to pay for.
That's one for like every.
Okay? Unfortunately, there is one in my house. Okay? It's a dumb product, but did people buy it? They did.
Yeah.
He bought an island 4 years ago. I own an island off of Snuggie money. That's what his claim to fame, like famous. Okay? Other bad ones. And I use this in my econ class all the time.
That's
That rocks. Someone in the 1970s convinced someone to buy a pet rock. Maybe one of the greatest marketing schemes ever. Gary Dahl was his name. He's in his backyard, he's trying to do some lawn stuff, and he's digging up, and there's rocks there. He's going, what the heck do I do with all these rocks? I think I'm gonna sell them. What does he do? And by the way, pet rocks, the way you think it, did not have the googly eye stuck on them. It was literally a rock stuck in some nesting materials, and then you would put it inside a box with holes in the box because you don't want the thing to suffocate. God forbid. And he sold it for $14.99.
In the 70s?
By the way, he sold 4.2 million pet rocks.
Let's go.
To this day, you can still buy pet rocks on Amazon. Gary Dahl unfortunately died last year, but understand there was a 5 or 6-year-old kid in Bozeman, Montana, who went out to recess with his best friend all the time, Danny Puckett, and Danny stopped playing with him because he was playing with his pet rock.
Oh my
So when his mom said, what do you want for your birthday this year? That little boy said, I want a pet rock. That boy still has his pet rock. What was the genius of it though, folks? Gary Dahl included instruction manual on how to take care of your pet rock. For example, you can see the page here, you could actually get your pet rock to stay.
What?
He goes through, and you ever want to see something that's ridiculously funny? Look up on Google the pet rock instruction booklet. It will make you cry because you're going to laugh so hard. For example, get to stay. If you want your rock to roll over, he'll literally say, so go outside, go to the top of the hill, put the rock on the ground, and tell your rock to start rolling over. And it will. It was crazy stuff. I'm guessing someone's looking it up right now. Okay? We look at this and we're laughing because we're thinking, why the heck would anyone ever buy this? But did people buy it?
Hell yeah.
Is it a good product? Yes, it is. Economically, it's a good product. You can't snort when you laugh while I'm teaching. Go. Which one are you reading?
There's a few popular breeds. It's just.
Oh yeah, different colors of rocks, different breeds of rocks. You think that's funny? Wait till I get to baby wee wee.
Oh my God. No.
So here's the thing, folks. Every business is trying to figure out what's the next product that people are going to buy. And normally they're looking at kids. For example, some of you guys may remember this. In 2016, folks, stores could not keep these on the shelves. But where are people always looking for? What's the hot product? What can they get people to buy, or what should we make? It's always for Christmas. So Christmas 2016, here was the hot toy. Hatchimals. Christmas 2017, it were these things right here. LOL Surprise. If you have a little sister, you know what LOL Surprise was.
They're terrible.
They are. But the thing is what they take advantage of? Took advantage of those unpackaging videos that people love to watch and turned an packaging video into a toy. I mean, it's crazy. 2018, which is this last Christmas, anyone know what the hot toy was? They literally repackaged a toy from the 1980s. Anyone ever seen those monkeys that you like hang around your neck? Like look like sock dolls kind of? Yeah. Anyone ever seen those before? They repackaged them into something called fingerlings. Could not keep them on the shelves this Christmas 2018.
That's creepy.
Literally. And the thing is, they put them not just into monkeys, they turn them into unicorns, parrots, whatever. Was this a good product? Yeah. People bought it. These are some of the these are the best-selling products in the history of the United States in different categories. Best-selling toy of all time? It's hard to believe, it's the Rubik's Cube. By the way, the guy who made the Rubik's Cube, how much money did he make off of it? Basically $0.
What?
Guess what he forgot to do?
Patented.
Patent. Best-selling phone of all time? iPhone. Best-selling book? Harry Potter, the first one. This is not the series. 450 million units of Harry Potter the Sorcerer's Stone. Best-selling album, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Best-selling video game, best-selling game console, PlayStation. Best-selling drug ever, Lipitor. Cholesterol, best-selling car, if you own a Toyota Corolla, you were like most Americans.
141 billion.
That being said, there are also some products that are not good products.
What?
These are some of the biggest failures in the history of the United States.
Yeah, new code.
Breakfast mates.
So they changed.
Someone came up with the idea, cereal, milk, how can we combine the two? Put them all in one package. Guess what they forgot to tell people to do? Refrigerate.
Oh, God.
Food poisoning epidemic. Frito-Lay came up with, wow, how can we make chips healthy? And there's actually a product, folks, there's actually some ingredient called Olean, where you can stick it in there and it replaces all the type of stuff out there. And people thought, my gosh, you're trying to tell me I can eat Doritos and they're gonna be healthy for me and I won't gain weight? Sounds like a great idea, right? What was the problem with Olean? Instant diuretic.
Oh.
Laxative. For those of you guys not games, how soon? 10 minutes.
Oh, God.
10 minutes. I'm gonna skip over some of this because of time, but this one here, yogurt shampoo. Well, a common thing, folks, for people to get for like proms and stuff to do is they'll put yogurt in their hair. It actually softens it up and gives it a good sheen. It is a common practice. Okay, so what did someone think to do in the early 2000s? Let's stick yogurt in the shampoo. Guess what someone in the shower decided to do?
Eat it.
Dang, you mean try some of the yogurt? I wonder how it tastes. Bigger laxative than Olean's. Let's just put it this way, there's a good reason, there's a good thing they were in the shower. Okay? There's a good thing that they were already in the shower. All these folks are failures. Probably the best failure I can ever tell you about is this one right here. Baby wee wee doll. If you want to cry, I'm laughing, and you need a good day, nobody look it up right now because we'll never get anything accomplished. Kaylee, put your computer away. Look up on YouTube, baby wee wee commercial. You want the 23-second one. A London-based company came up with the idea that there's a baby that can walk, there's a baby that can talk, there's a baby that can eat, there's a baby that can crawl. You know what there isn't is? An anatomically correct male baby doll that can go to the bathroom. But they had to show when the baby needed to go to the bathroom. So to show that, something went up.
Oh, no.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, talk to the person giggling next to you. And then what they thought was, let's make a commercial
Oh, God.
and demonstrate how this will work. And then let's put this on Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So across the United States, everyone can see this. Let's just put it this way. 10 minutes after the commercial was shown, there's lots of knocks on moms and dads' doors going, Mom, Dad, we need to talk. It was devastating. Company went bankrupt within 6 months. Okay, the last one, and I won't do too much, but the last one is this product right here. Okay. 5 times the amount of caffeine that a 5-hour energy has.
Oh, my God.
5 times. Company in Las Vegas in 1998 started to sell these things. It was blackout in a can. You drink one of these, what happens is kids who are normally healthy, hearts would start going, and they literally faint or pass out. 49 U.S. states banned it. Guess what the one U.S. state that did not ban it?
Texas.
Us.
Minnesota.
Why?
I knew
You
that.
can still legally buy
You can
this in
buy
the
it.
state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Guys, you can buy it here now, like if you wanted to. There's a red version, there's a blue version,
Ooh.
but, what was that question? Where? So, here's the thing. Okay? Here's the thing. If you went and bought one of these folks, there's so much caffeine in here, the shelf life is 50 years.
Oh.
They stopped making it in 1999. You bought one of these, it's 20 years old. Probably not a great idea, okay? Probably not a great idea. Did they think they were gonna make money off it? They did. And we'll go over the other ones now. So here are the 5 questions that we need to ask in this class. And if you had any free econ, you're gonna notice that these questions are different, okay? So we went over what will be produced. The other questions that we have to go over here, folks, is how will goods be produced? Who gets the output? How is change accommodated? How is progress promoted? So I'm going to change the slide, so don't freak out. We're going to go over every one of these questions individually. So the first one is this: how will goods be produced? We want to produce them in a way where we use our factors of production efficiently. What we have found in this country, folks, is that technology allows us to become more efficient. So let's really think about this. Starbucks just did something a week and a half ago. They announced in 2020, and you look at the 7.2 million jobs available today, how are goods going to be produced in the future?
Robots. I'm so smart.
25% of the Starbucks in the United States, folks, in the year 2020, this will be the person who's making your coffee at a Starbucks. If you've been to Seattle, Washington, and Starbucks lately, it's already there. If you've been in the Denver airport, if you've been in the Atlanta airport, if you've been in the New York City airport, this is the Starbucks that you will run into right now. They can't find workers, they're turning to this. It's crazy. And the question is how will it be produced? What we're starting to see is we're starting to see robots. The third question, who will get the output? It's whoever's willing to pay. It literally is whoever has the income to pay for it. What is the problem here in the United States then? If it's whoever's willing to pay. What's that, Adam?
Where's the money?
It is. It's the income disparity, right? A recent report came out that said 3% of the United States population controls 90% of the resources. We're going to find, folks, the ability to pay is more likely going to be the people who are rich. By the way, they just defined rich for the first time in about 3 years. You are officially rich if you make how much?
100,000.
No. $11.2 million.
Oh my God.
If you're worth $11.2 million, you are now rich. Think about it.
Worth
$1
or
million
making?
isn't considered rich in the United States anymore. That is hard to imagine.
Is that worth or like net worth or making?
That's your worth, your
Okay.
net worth value.
So what percentage?
How will the system change? How will the system change?
100,000.
Are consumer tastes going to change? Because I guarantee I'm about to show you a product that everyone in here have. I will also show a product that none of you still have on you. Anyone ever have these?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you had a silly band on. If you didn't, you're lying to yourself. You are lying to yourself. By the way, if you still have the silly band on, you have issues. Okay? But company, folks, how long did, as popular as silly bands were, and I had a son and a daughter, I mean, it was like, that's all they wanted was silly bands. Okay? How long did this company last?
Not
A year and
2 years. Big rise, big fall. They didn't deal with change. They didn't find the next big thing. And so that leads us to the last question. How will the system progress? Because what should every business be worried about? Creative destruction. Every business should be worried about creative destruction. What is it that could replace us? Here's probably one of the funniest stories in business there is. Digital cameras. Think how involved digital cameras are in our world. Selfies, whatever, all those things. Who invented the digital camera? What company? Kodak. Kodak never took the digital camera and marketed it. Why? Because they thought people would never take pictures in any other way than on film. Is Kodak around anymore? In 1980, it was one of the 10 largest corporations in the entire world. It is no longer around. They didn't deal with progress. And so we think creative destruction. Think of music. Start with a record player. After record player, you go to what? What replaced it?
CD
Cassette.
player.
Cassette
8-tracks,
tape.
thank you. After an 8-track was a cassette. After cassette, it was a CD. Now you got your CDs that you guys probably remember. Okay, after CDs, it's MP3s. After MP3s, it's streaming. I'm gonna flat out tell you, if you want to become one of those people that have $11.2 million, go find the next evolution of music. I promise you there's a company right now that's coming up with a way of how to change music and how you listen to it. If you can find the next evolution of music, folks, and you invest in them, first of all, come tell me. Second of all, invest as much money as you possibly can. Because it's out there, and then eventually be creatively destroyed, but it's creative destruction. We find out that the businesses that deal with this are the businesses that can project progress, okay? And I'll sit there and say, I mean, let's look at Alec. Well, what's a business here in Alec that maybe 3 years from now won't be around anymore? Anyone? I have a couple in my head.
Like anything on
YMCA.
Broadway?
Why?
I just feel like nobody goes there anymore.
Dude, there were like 40 people there at 5 in the morning today.
Anyone know?
Most of the stuff on Broadway.
Office Max? Office Max maybe, but I think Office Max, most of their distribution is off-site. They just have the brick and mortar for a reason. Hardee's, why?
I don't see many, kind of like Office Max.
How many people have gone to Hardee's in the last month?
Nice, super.
Hardee's crosses my mind. What's another one?
Fleet Farm.
Fleet Farm? God, Fleet Farm, there's
The
people
Mad
who
Mall?
want to be buried in Fleet Farm. If I'm thinking nationally, folks, I'm telling you right now, Jim Marie, but here's a couple of local stores that all get donuts at dollars.
Isn't Sears going? Sears is going.
Sears was going to, but the guy who ran into the ground actually was able to buy it in the courts last Friday. And so we'll see, but can it last? Payless Shoe Source? I'm betting here. Here's the one.
It already closed.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay, that tells you, I'm sorry to open them all. But here's the other one that may blow your mind a little bit. I'm saying movie theaters within the next 5 years.
No. Freaking no.
I'm flat out telling you, I will be surprised if the movie theater that we have right now is in the same situation as 5 years from now. Because guess what the studios are starting to do?
Stream it.
Stream directly to the consumers. Think about, if you were gonna go to the next big movie and you had the opportunity to sit at home, on your couch, not go outside, and you could pay $10 with your entire family to stream that movie, and it's a new release, would you stay home or would you rather go to the movie theater?
Dude, I'd go to
Stay
the.
home.
How many people still wanna go to the theater?
Yeah.
So some people,
Pay like $5 for a
and it's an experience thing. But I will tell you right now, folks, Netflix, which has 2 of the 8 best pictures for the Academy Awards this year, they are putting them in your home. And it is not long before other businesses figure this out, i.e. Disney. Disney's next big movie is, just released the trailer yesterday.
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2. Disney has a new streaming service coming out in April, folks. Guess what Disney's plan is?
To release
Put
it only on
Frozen
that.
2 gets streamed on their new site before it hits theaters. Do you think that'll hurt theaters? It absolutely will. Okay? And so, those types of things.
What was the
So, When we talk about invisible hand, folks, when we talk about invisible hand, it's in terms of an entire country. What we're talking about, here's the words you need to know. It's efficiency, it's incentives, it's freedom. For a market system to work, you have to have an efficiency, you have to have incentives, which is just another word for profit, and you have to have freedom, okay? But there are problems with the market system. What is the basic problem with the market system? Anybody know? It's poverty. This is not in your textbook, folks, but here it is. Understand, in a market system, folks, it doesn't have to be the United States, it can be another country. Somebody will go to sleep here in Alexander, Minnesota tonight, and what happens, they'll be hungry. You look at the weather out right now, someone's gonna go to bed tonight, and what's gonna happen is they're not gonna be in a house. We think it can't happen here. Realize it's happening here. These are the latest statistics. 17% of the people who live in Alexander, Minnesota right now are considered impoverished. What does that number really mean? Here are the 2019 numbers for what's officially considered impoverished by the federal government. If you're a single person, you make less than $12,490, you're considered impoverished. If you're like me, a family of 6, $34,590, my family would be considered officially impoverished. I make $2,000 a year. Luckily, I have a sugar mama who's a nurse, and so we're above this. Okay, but what's going on here, folks, is we think of Alexandria as being kind of an upper middle class type of community. We're finding out that poverty is everywhere. Why? Because it's a market system. You're just basically going to have it. And so we have to also look at what are the problems of command system. And the problems of command system are basically two problems. One, it's a coordination problem. And two, it's an incentive problem. The coordination problem is, let's take North Korea as an example. Kim Jong-un is making all the decisions. Think of what he has to do before every new year starts or every fiscal year starts. He has to say, okay, we're gonna have this many gallons, we're gonna take your money, we're gonna buy this many liters of gas. We're gonna have this many cars. We're gonna have this many tractors. We're gonna have this much go to clothing. We're gonna have this much go. He has to make all those decisions. Is he good at making those decisions? No. How do we know? This right here. This right here. This right here. Understand, folks, as we speak, people are having children in North Korea, not for the purpose of, I want to raise and love that kid. They're having children for the purpose of, I'm going to sell this kid. They're finding out that people are not having the children knowing there's potential that that kid may have to go someplace else. Teachers are being told if the kid doesn't show for a couple weeks, do not inquire. They are not coordinating their resources very well. And part of the problem is also incentive. The fact that that person over makes $3,000 a year, how much does this person make? $3,000. Why would I ever go out and actually create the next great invention if I know I'm not going to profit from it? The lack of profit is killing North Korea. How do we know? This right here. In 1953, North Korea and South Korea split. Is it pretty evident which one is doing better? It really is. Command system, market system. Agrarian, not agrarian. Technology is the lead. Okay. We got one more thing we got to talk about when we come back from lunch. So we'll go to lunch and we'll come back. We got one more thing. Okay.